What's good, everybody on YouTube? It's your boy Akil McLeod back with another live video. And today is going to be a very, very good conversation. This is going to be all about entrepreneurship and just sharing some of the pros and the cons of being an entrepreneur. Lately, I've been coming across a lot of content online, and it's definitely nothing new, nothing novel. But I'm just seeing a ton of content online right now based around entrepreneurship, based around just different conversations surrounding entrepreneurship as a whole. So I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents in there and just kind of give you guys some more perspective coming from personal experience, because this is going to be my fourth year. This February coming up is going to be my fourth full year being a full-time entrepreneur, not necessarily having like a part-time hustle on the side or anything like that. Just, full-time entrepreneur, making money on my own, doing my own thing. Like Gucci Man says, do what I want because I'm signed to me for the past 4 years. So definitely just wanted to just share some more perspective on that. First, let me shout out everybody in the chat. Got my man Ryan from Footwear House. What's good, bro? I hope everything is good. Bounty Nomads in the building as well. What's going on, bro? These two gentlemen right here are in my reseller mastermind. So it's always good to have some support, build a tribe that, kind of motivates and pushes each other. So shout out to you guys as well. We got Regina in here. What's going on? Hope everything is well with you. Now, this is definitely going to also be more of a, I'm going to be doing a kind of like a call-in show, like I've done a couple times in the past. So I'll make sure I put that link in the live chat here as well, because I also want to just, keep the conversation going. So I want to, invite other people to hop in as I kind of go through some of the notes and some of the talking points that I do have here today. As you guys know, I usually just run straight off the fly. The reseller show is usually just to answer any questions people have when it comes to reselling. But today I definitely wanted to just come prepared a little bit, have some talking points, because I had some time to think about it. And I prefer to do it as a live show for the intent to kind of bring people in and gain some different perspectives. So I'll kind of go through some of the pros and I'll go through some of the cons. I'll kind of bounce around here as we go. Now, one of the cons, one of the biggest pros, always start off with the positivity, right? One of the biggest pros of being an entrepreneur, and this is one of the things that most people want, why they want to become an entrepreneur, is because you get to set your own schedule. You get to do your own thing when you want to do it, how long you want to do it. And I think that's one of the most attractive parts of being an entrepreneur. And for a lot of people, although we are all resellers, some people might not view us as resellers, as entrepreneurs, because like I told you guys earlier in today's video, every entrepreneur isn't a reseller, but in my opinion, every reseller is an entrepreneur, whether you're full-time, part-time, whatever it may be. Even if you're doing it on a hobby type of basis, it's definitely you're an entrepreneur. So the flexibility, like Regina said, the flexibility, that's definitely the one of the main most attractive things about being an entrepreneur. However, with the pros always come a con. So even though you have the flexibility, you have the the ability to kind of move at your own pace and do what you want to do, having to set your own schedule can be very, very tough for most people. I'll give you guys some personal experience. So my first year, almost first 2 years, I was definitely kind of just fluid with my schedule. Whatever I felt like doing, I would go ahead and do. And, whether that meant sourcing, whether that meant trying to handle my accounting, whether that meant, shipping out packages, all of the things that kind of go with the day-to-day business of, the day-to-day processes of running a business. I kind of just did it on the fly. But the more experienced I became and the more precious time became for me, I realized that you kind of have to set a schedule and you have to kind of create some sort of work-life balance. Now, this is definitely very kind of cliche. A lot of people throw a work-life balance around, but in the beginning for myself, that was something I was definitely struggling with. And I think I have a better grasp at it now, but this is me 4 years in as opposed to, my first year. So that's definitely something people need to consider, especially if you you're doing this part-time, but you want to go into this full-time, you're definitely going to have to, manage your time better and kind of figure out what kind of schedule will work best for you. And it took me a while, you know what I mean? Kind of balancing, making sure I'm spending enough time with my wife, balancing times connecting with friends and family. And then of course, just trying to keep up with the business, educating myself. It was a lot involved. So like I said, with everything, but even though the flexibility is what's super attractive, it definitely has its pros and its cons. Now, when it comes to a pro, in terms of earning money, right? People think once you start a business or you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, it sounds good, it sounds sexy, but most of the time, when you're running a business, well, let me keep it to the pros. The main thing about being an entrepreneur is that the potential to earn money and earn a lot of money is very, very high. It just depends on how much work you want to put in, how much money you actually have to invest within your business, whatever it is. It's all about, how much capital you have to put into it and how much work you're trying to put behind it. So that's definitely something a lot of people kind of have misconstrued, in the sense of, once you become an entrepreneur, say you set up a t-shirt shop and you think all your shirts are just going to fly off the shelves. Or you might set up a candle business and you think all your candles are just going to fly off the shelves as soon as you start your website. It's definitely doesn't work like that. You need to put in tons and tons of man hours to kind of create the marketing around whatever it is you're trying to do. Excuse me. And that's why so many of us, especially online resellers, the beauty for the best thing about it for us is the fact that we sell on different platforms. So the platforms provide the traffic and we just provide the products. But if you were, doing your own thing and you say you started your own t-shirt company, you're going to have to create the marketing and create the traffic around that particular brand. So I know I'm kind of going on a little tangent here, but it's definitely pros and cons to being an entrepreneur. Let me hop back in the chat. We got somebody dropped a comment in here. You learn a lot about yourself working for yourself. It's been 2 years and I got a lot to learn still. Absolutely. You definitely learn a lot about yourself. I think it's one of those things where, personally, I know I learned a lot about myself. At first, I thought, how can I say this the right way? In the beginning stages, I knew it was going to be a lot of work and I knew it was going to take time to grow. But all of us just as humans, sometimes we become more impatient. We just have less patience, to see things through. So for me, I realized that, I had to become more patient and just had to really love the process, trust the process, as people like to say, because, while you're in the trenches and you're working on something, I'll give you guys an example with YouTube. I remember when I first got on YouTube last August, I was just plowing away, just trying to put out as much content, trying to provide as much value as possible. But even that time, I was basically working for free because I wasn't monetized and I wasn't making any money whatsoever. So I just had to keep pushing, keep trying to build up that foundation for myself. And my channel finally became monetized in December. And I was able to, finally start making some money for my content. But that's after, almost 6 months of not getting paid for any of the work. So that was something that I had to just kind of learn more about myself, learning how to trust the process, becoming more patient. And that's also definitely something that people that are considering being an entrepreneur, you have to think about your tolerance level, think of your patience level, because it's not always going to be, rainbows and butterflies. Some days it's going to be much tougher than others. And you're going to have to figure out, what your tolerance level is. How patient are you? What's your ability to, deal with the tough times? And some people, have higher tolerance levels. Some people can deal with stuff better than others, deal with stress and deal with pressure from better than other people. But I mean, it's all things that I definitely learned for myself during the course of these 4 years. Regina says, yes, we as people have unrealistic expectations about business, and you have to have a great work ethic. Absolutely. If anything, being an entrepreneur would definitely, it weeds out the people that don't have a good work ethic, right? Because if you don't have a good work ethic, you won't be a good entrepreneur. Like, to me, it's that simple. And you would hear about people that had business aspirations and, within the first year, or even businesses like Quibi that, sold it, basically went bankrupt or just called it quits after 6 months. their tolerance level probably was low, or for numerous amounts of reasons. But it just lets you see that being in business, you have to have a solid work ethic in order to keep you going and to keep you strong. So that's definitely something that a lot of us have to always keep in mind. Now, another huge, now I'm going to go to one of the cons, because this is one of the things that I had on my list, benefits. Now, if you're coming from, a salary background, for me, I come from education. So I used to work at a college, and when it comes to benefits, I'm talking about health benefits, life insurance, dental insurance, vision. All of those things are covered within your salary, within your benefit package. And for me, that was definitely something that I know I didn't necessarily think of when I quit my job at first and became an entrepreneur, because life insurance, health insurance, all of these things are very expensive. And that's also something people have to consider. If you have, pre-existing health conditions, being an entrepreneur might be more of like a challenging battle. It might be something that you might constantly want to push off, because your health is super important and you won't be able to afford health insurance. So that's definitely something a lot of people need to also keep in mind when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because you're going to have to pay for health insurance out of pocket, or you can just live without health insurance and have to pay that those fees at the end of the year when it comes to doing your taxes and stuff like that. So all of those things are stuff that you have to consider once you're becoming an entrepreneur, even interested in becoming an entrepreneur. Those type of benefits, those types of perks that come with working a 9-to-5 job. Once you become an entrepreneur, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to, kind of maintain those same things. Something else that was more of a, we'll go back to some of the pros now. One of the pros of being an entrepreneur, let me see really quickly. Oh, so after that, I got a lot of cons. But it's one of those things where, I just wanted to put it out there. So lack of support from family and friends, that's a big one, because when it comes to, being an entrepreneur, I think now it's a little more glamorized and a little more respected, a little more appreciated. But a few years ago, it wasn't always like this. From a personal, from experience, I remember when the entrepreneurship wave started happening, when it became more trendy. You started hearing more people talk about it. This was, if I had to put a date to it, it was probably like around 2012, 2013, when I started getting more, seeing more notifications and more, just hearing about people like Gary Vee and the fake guru era, Amazon sellers popping up on YouTube left and right, like that era I'm talking about. To me, I think that was around 2012, maybe 13. Drop a comment if you guys can remember that time period. But I remember during that time is when everyone was telling people, just go ahead, quit your job. You don't need to do this. You don't need to work for the man. Start your own thing. And it was those types of things that even encouraged me. It definitely got me, thinking different and thinking bigger in terms of wanting to start a business. But it was one of those things where they never really gave people kind of a blueprint, and they never talked about all of the pros and the cons. It was very one-sided. You would only hear the pros, and you would see people, lounging on a beach or, chilling on a yacht and just saying, I make six figures and I don't do anything all day. Like that was the type of stuff we would see. But nowadays, I think it's a little more balanced. It's a little more information out there and a little more knowledge. But one of the biggest things, though, is the fact of the lack of family support from friends and the lack of support from friends and family. Right. So when I first started my business, and keep in mind, I have a master's degree in higher education. So everyone thought that, even I thought that I was going to be constantly going down that road. And my end goal was to be a college professor, a college president. That was my end goal. That was what I always thought my dream job would be. So family and friends kind of knew that for me. And once I told them I quit my job and I started selling things on eBay, they was like, what? Akil, you got to be tripping. You're not serious. Like you was on the fast track to, being a college president. And boy, when I tell you, that was one of the most realist moments when you kind of can decipher who's really in your corner and who's really not. And that's something that, most entrepreneurs, we all dealt with it at one point or another, where family and friends, just kind of, they'll either congratulate you for, taking that leap of faith and leaving the job, or you're going to hear, you're tripping, you made a mistake. Are you sure this is what you wanted to do? Do you think this is a good idea? And I heard that time and time and time again. And now 4 years later, I got people on a daily basis, friends and family. Oh, Akil, about that eBay, how do you get started? Or that Poshmark, how do you get started? Oh, Macari, Craigslist, how do you get started? I got stuff around my house, could you help me sell it? And it's just so funny how the tables turn. But at the same time, it's all about, maintaining that work ethic and really building up something from scratch was something that was super important to me. And it kind of showed people along the way that it was possible. I know for myself, I showed a lot of people that this was possible. You can have a degree, you can have work experience and all these things, and still step away and build your own brand and do what you want to do on your own time. So for me, definitely something I'm super proud of, and just, also just want to share some of the pros and cons about it. Because it's, like I said earlier, it's not always butterflies and rainbows when it comes down to it. Let me see who's in the chat here. Oh, eBay Poshman, you and a couple other YouTubers really inspired me to take the leap and go full time. Do what you love. It makes the difference. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad I'm part of that group that helped inspire you, man, because that's why I do what I'm doing. Literally, like, just to help other people and kind of, show people that it's real, show people that it's possible. And we could kind of take control of our own destiny and do what we need to do for ourselves and our family. Lovely Miss Sonia, I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my family, but I only support family and friends that support me. Amen. Amen. You gotta support the friends, the family, you show love to people that show love to you. Simple as that. I hear it 100%. Oh yes, smash that like button. Definitely. Always, that helps the channel grow for sure. Now, let's see. Personally, I do feel like entrepreneurship is sort of looked down upon in immigrant families. It's more traditional to work 9 to 5. At least that was sort of the culture I was brought up in. See, now that's a really good point. So I come from an immigrant family as well. My family's from Trinidad, right? So when I told my mom that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I think she was more like supportive before I actually quit my job. Once I quit my job, she was like, whoa, this is a big deal. Are you sure this is what you wanted to do? And of course, it took a couple years until she realized that, I was capable and I was really building a solid business model. So it took a while for her to kind of get on board. But in the beginning, she was definitely not excited by any means. I mean, she never said, don't do it, or I think this is a bad idea. But when someone's not excited about what you're doing, and that was the vibe I was getting from her. But it's just one of those things where after a while, and people see that you're serious about it, and you don't even need to tell people how serious you are. They just see how you spend your time. They see what you're always talking about. They see how you carry yourself. They know. So that's what it's all about. It's just about kind of just staying consistent with stuff and letting people know, letting your work ethic speak for itself. You know what I mean? And it's as simple as that. I think it definitely takes a while until family kind of opens their eyes to it. Even my wife, she was always supportive, but of course, just like anybody else, she didn't sign up to be with an entrepreneur. She signed up to be with, at the time I was working out of college, so she thought she was going to be, I was going to be living this very, for lack of better words, very regular, basic lifestyle. Working a 9 to 5 and just doing whatever, but I wanted to kind of shake stuff up. So in the beginning, she definitely was on the fence. But I think as time progressed, even as a few months progressed, she saw that, a foundation was being laid. And I was spending, I would stay up until sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just doing research and just, trying out different things. And she saw for herself that I was serious about this. And now, my wife has quit her job. I think it's almost 2 years at this point. She works with me with the business now. So it just shows that how, you can make a pivot in life and as long as you have, you don't necessarily need a ton of supporters or a ton of people cheering you on, but all you need is a small tribe to keep you going and move things forward for sure. Let's see. Derek Douglas, I wanted to be an elementary principal and stop teaching to resell on eBay. I thank God for doing it. You made a great choice, bro. Absolutely. Like it's one of those things where, I had opportunities to be an elementary. Actually, I had opportunities to be a high school principal when I was living in Buffalo, New York, and around that time I turned it down. So I get it 100%. I'm not gonna say eBay is the answer. eBay is definitely not the 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 way for everybody, but just entrepreneurship in general, I think is it's one of those things. If you have that fire in you that's pushing you to want to go ahead and do it, you got to do it. You got to do it. You don't want to be 70 years old saying shoulda, woulda, couldas, or if I wish I had a friend that would have pushed me in the right direction. You gotta follow your gut, follow your, like I said, just follow your gut. Absolutely. People get stuck in the traditional way of making money. That's a great point. The thing is, the longer I've been doing this, right, I've learned that there's so many different ways to make money, so many different ways, especially in this day and age. And it's one of those things where as long as you are, able-bodied and you have some common sense, you can make a lot of money in this day and age. I think it goes to show, even with the virus and the pandemic and all of these different things happening, there are certain industries that were able to, see a lot of success during this time. And I think for me, it kind of showed me that, the stuff that we're doing, everybody on here, we're all resellers or aspiring resellers. We all seen success still. Business didn't completely shut down as long as we had some solid inventory. And it's one of those things where, it's one of those things where it kind of showed you if you can make it during the pandemic, you can make it anywhere. You know what I mean? So it was definitely a very good decision to stick with this online e-commerce. You know what I mean? Just having an e-commerce business is amazing. You know what I mean? Let's see. I think people use entrepreneur loosely nowadays. I have decided to call myself a wealth builder now. That's a nice one. I like that. There are many who say now I want to work for myself, but they have no idea what's involved. See, now this is a great way of putting it, because this is something that, like you said, I'm seeing people say the word entrepreneur and they say it so loosely and say it in a way where it's like, I got an LLC now, so now I'm a business owner. And it's like, yeah, you in business, that's cool, but it's so much more. And it's one of those things where, especially if you're first starting out, you find yourself being, you're sourcing, you're shipping, you might be you're doing all the accounting, you're taking all the photos, you're cleaning items, you're doing so many different things that entrepreneur don't even sum it up. It doesn't even do it justice sometimes when it really comes down to it. But I love the fact that you call yourself a wealth builder now, because it's one of those things that's why I'm doing this. It's all about building a real generational wealth. And not to say that you can't build wealth working a 9-to-5. There's people, I have friends that's making well over 6 figures, and they work in healthcare fields, they're lawyers, they're making really good money, they're building wealth, right? But for me, I just wanted to build it my own way and do it the way I wanted to do it. And I think by being an entrepreneur, all that means is that you're taking control of your destiny. Nobody can fire me. Nobody can reprimand me for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it my own way. Let's see. I think our close family and friends question the reselling business / entrepreneurship because it seems risky and they worry about us. It's just a matter of proving it's viable. Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things. Being an entrepreneur absolutely is risk. It comes with so much risk, but like I said earlier, it's all about your risk tolerance. How patient are you? How educated are you within that field would really see how far you can take it within that business. And for me, I'm one of those people that when I'm doing research, or even if I'm just interested in a certain topic, I go above and beyond when it comes to, learning more about it. As much time as I need to take. That's why in the early stages, I stayed up till 5-6 a.m. sometimes. And I was just on my computer watching YouTube videos. YouTube University, you know what I mean? I was on here watching a whole bunch of different resellers, a whole bunch of different content creators, just trying to figure out which lane I wanted to go down, and it ended up being eBay. So it's just all about, proving that that's a viable option, proving that it's something sustainable, because anybody can, do a business for a year or two. But once you start getting into that 5, 10, 15 year range of like doing your own thing for several years at a really high level, that's when I think, you're proving to people that it's a viable business. So for myself, I feel like I'm always trying to prove something to myself, even though when sales are really high and, it's a $20,000 month in sales and I'm feeling great, I'm on cloud nine. I'm still trying to prove something to myself. You know what I mean? Just if you did 20 last month, could you do 40 next month? You know what I mean? Those types of things is what keeps me going. Let me drop that chat in there. I'm going to put the invite in the chat just to see if anybody else wants to join in on the conversation, because we got a lot of comments hopping in. So absolutely join the conversation if you guys want to be on camera. Derek says we can always go back to teaching if we need to. That's the other thing. Once you have some experience, you have your degree. I mean, that's plan B. You know what I mean? But for me, honestly, that's like plan Z. My goal is honestly to never work for anybody again, but it's always good to know that if need be, we could, go back to work, because you got your experience, you got your degrees, you good to go. Let's see. Do you think people should learn a niche or just sell anything and everything? Learn a niche. Anything and everything is cool. It works, but it becomes more fun when you have a niche and it's like a focus. For me, that's what it's all about. Have you ever thought about building your own app for resellers? That's a really good idea. I actually got an email earlier today from somebody wanting to make an app for me, and I didn't know what type of app. I was thinking maybe for the wine business I might need to use an app, but I don't know. Definitely not something on the top of my to-do list, that's for sure. So going back to some of the pros and the cons, something else that's definitely a con, absolutely a con, is taxes. And now this is something I'm probably going to spend a lot of time on, because as you guys know, I tell you guys, I've been talking about it for several weeks now. Your boy is in the home buying process, right? So just being able to purchase my first home, doing reselling, to me is amazing. Like, I'm so proud of that aspect of it. So let me just touch on that really quick. But the second piece is that taxes, being an entrepreneur, is definitely a con. Let me explain to you why. So as we all know, especially when reselling, I'm a reseller, so that's what I'm going to talk about. At the end of the year, of course, we have expenses. We have, we're sourcing, where we have a whole bunch. We have access to so many write-offs as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You write off a portion of your rent. You write off your cell phone bill. You write off any storage units. You write off any supplies that you might have used. You write off a numerous amount of things. You write off lunches. You write off gas. You write off so many things. So when it comes down to how much money you earned at the end of the year, with all those write-offs, you might only show that you earned, a very minimal amount of money. You might show that you only earned $30,000, even though you had $100,000 in sales. So when it comes to, preparing for the home buying process, they're not going off of if you're what your gross numbers are or what your net numbers are. They're going off of your filed income tax reports. So for years of writing stuff off, once it comes time for you to start, making bigger purchases, whether you want to buy a new home or buy a new car, they're only looking at your income taxes. So that could definitely be a con in the sense of preventing you from, making some of these big purchases. Because if for a home, for instance, they want to see that you've been making a decent amount of money for at least 2 years. And as an entrepreneur, depending on your state or who your lender is, they might want to see 5 years of previous experience. Who knows what the game is now? But for me, I know it was the previous 2 years that they wanted to see. So I knew I had to, be very calculated and make very smart decisions when it came down to my taxes. And I'll talk more about that in another video once we close on the house and I'm in there and I could start, showing everybody, just talking more about the home buying process for entrepreneurs. I think I'll be able to speak about it a little more once I actually, once I'm in the house. But that's definitely something that people need to consider. You need to think about your taxes, because for years when I was working at the college, I would just use TurboTax. I had my W-2s. I was good to go. And I always had 2 jobs. I had a full-time job and a part-time job when I was in Buffalo. And my full-time was working at Buffalo State. And then my part-time was working at the community college, ECC. So I just had, my W-2s, and I was good. I was good to go. You could do your taxes yourself. But once you're an entrepreneur, now it'll behoove you to hire a professional to do it, especially if you have goals, big goals within the next 2 to 3 years. It's the smartest decision you can make, because it can, make or break some deals for you. So that's definitely a con, in my opinion. Just the fact that you can't even necessarily go to like an H&R Block, because I don't even think they'll make the best decisions for you if you're an entrepreneur. They're just going to give whatever paperwork you give them. They're just going to input it in the system, punch some numbers, and send you out the door. So that's definitely something people need to consider when they want to become an entrepreneur. Now, the last con that I had, we spoke about medical benefits. We spoke about taxes, lack of support from family and friends. The other thing, so I'm not sure if this is necessarily a pro or a con, but we spoke about money. The potential to earn more money while you're an entrepreneur is much bigger, is much higher, because once you're working a 9 to 5, unless you're dealing with overtime and stuff like that, you kind of know what your check is going to look like every week, every month. It's kind of a set thing for you, right? So you already know. But the funny thing is, when you're an entrepreneur, your potential to make more money is practically limitless. It just depends on how much you're trying to work, how much money you're willing to invest, and how much risk you're trying to take. And it's one of those things where you got to be smart about it. Of course, you don't just want to have, a bunch of money and just toss it out into the wind and hope it comes back to you. But it's one of those things where being an entrepreneur forces you to create several different streams of income, only because that main source of income that you have, you don't necessarily always just want to rely on that, because as we all know, things change. You might need to make a pivot. Different platforms come up with different rules, and they might, ruin your whole business model. So that's one thing that I learned, is just the importance of creating several different income streams for your business. You have to make sure that you're not solely relying on one platform or one income stream. And that's why I'm starting a wine business with my wife, because we just want to create something where, even though having an eBay store it's your own thing, of course, but at the end of the day, it's an entity of eBay. You know what I mean? Unless you have a brick and mortar store, you can't necessarily like sell your store to somebody. Of course you can, but drop a comment if you guys understand what I mean. But it's different as opposed to owning a brand and selling that brand or something of those sorts. So that's why we wanted to start up another business, another venture for the both of us to kind of just create more streams of income and take us along that road to generational wealth. So that's definitely something that people need to consider. Just creating different streams of income, always thinking of different things that you can do that might be associated with your main stream of income, but also creating something else that can that can just sustain you and just make you live a much fuller and richer life, in case one day you might want to take your foot off the gas on reselling and put more energy into YouTube, or put less energy into YouTube and put more energy into investing in stocks, or vice versa. It's so many different things. So definitely just wanted to share some of that information. Let me hop back in the chat and see what people are saying. Yes, I agree about YouTube University. That is how I ran across your channel. It was a blessing. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to provide some value, because there's a lot of people on YouTube that dropped a lot of gems for me. So I just felt like I had to do my part, be a part of the community, and try to share some game, because I'm a firm believer in each one teach one. You know what I mean? Let's see. I've learned that it's not about how much we make, either in a 9 to 5 or in our business, but it's about how much we invest. We need to invest in our Roth IRA, 401k, mutual funds, so our 60-year-old self will thank us. Absolutely. I was just talking about investing. And if people aren't investing nowadays, I'm not going to say you're playing yourself, because you can invest in so many different things, but it's just super important to invest in, just put your money in a place where it can make you money. Simple as that. It could be stocks, it could be real estate, it can be shoes, but invest in stuff that will make you money while you're sleeping, or has potential to make you money while you're sleeping. To me, that is always the goal. And it's one of those things that that's what it's all about in terms of building generational wealth. Because after I'm gone, I'm still trying. I don't want my kids or close family to even think about, financial stuff. Like while I'm here, I'm trying to make sure that I hit the ground running. And once we have some kids, I pass the baton to them, and then they just keep it going, and they can inherit some stuff as opposed to just, having to start stuff from scratch, like me. Let's see. You should record moving your eBay store. That's a good idea. Very good idea. The funny thing is, over the past, I want to say 2 weeks, I've been running a sale. So my eBay store is very small. I had maybe 550 something items in total. I'm down to less than 300 now because stuff has just been selling. And the good thing is, a lot of them was old stuff that I shouldn't have purchased in the first place. It was a lot of items that was not made a ton of profit off of it, but it was really just items that, I made mistakes on. So they were sitting because my price was too high. And once I dropped the price to 15% off, it was starting to gain some traction and people was moving it. So me moving my store wouldn't be as exciting as it probably would have been maybe 2 months ago when my store was a lot bigger. Excuse me, but I'll definitely still record some of that and make that a video for sure. Let's see. You worked at SUNY Buffalo State. My uncle was the president there. That's what's up. Small world. Super small world. But yeah, I worked at Buffalo State. That was my alma mater. So for me, I had to, I wanted to work at Buff State. Like I remember going there and just loving the campus. So for me, I wanted to work there. But after a while, I had to move on. They said, bro, once you close on your house, make sure you get a homestead exemption. It will save you so much money on your property taxes. It's free to get in your state. Thank you. I'm gonna look into that. Homestead exemption. I'm gonna definitely look into that. Let me write that down. As a matter of fact, homestead. Good tip. Good tip. That's why I love YouTube, because I'm over here trying to share info when you share some value, but people always sharing it as well. So I appreciate it. Bounty Nomad, another masterclass in the making. That's what's up. Thank you. Let's see. One thing I liked about your channel is, of course, reselling, but also enjoy self-help / motivational content, and you incorporate both so well. Thank you. That's what's up. The funny thing is, when it comes to quote unquote motivational content, some of it kind of cheesy to me. So I don't necessarily try to be like a motivational speaker, but the whole purpose of me doing what I do is really to show people that it's possible. So of course that comes with, being motivational and trying to inspire people, trying to light that fire under people to kind of take control of their own destiny. Because one thing that I hate the most is people that complain and just wallow in it and just think that they have to deal with that and they have no options. But one thing for sure is that we always have options. We always have, a plan A through Z. And for me, I've always been a firm believer in just doing the most of what you have, but also taking the time to learn more and, create something out of nothing. Like to me, that was always just being super resourceful is something I've always had in me since I was a child. I'm not going to say I was like an entrepreneur in the making, by no means, but I was always super resourceful. So for me, I think that's one of the things that I try to push and try to, like show people that you can make money in America and you can still, live a fulfilled life as long as you're being positive and as long as you're playing by the rules. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me I think there was one other thing. I don't think that if there was any other, I'm definitely going to open it up to questions now. And if anybody has eBay, Poshmark, Macari related questions, definitely go ahead and shoot that in the chat. I think I hit all of my talking points in terms of pros and cons of being an entrepreneur. Definitely hit all of them. But if you guys got questions, I'll be here at least for another 20 minutes or so. And then around 7 o'clock, your boy's going to hit the gym because it's been a long day. Also, if anyone wants to join into the live chat, I'll share the link one more time just so that anybody can hop in. You could talk about entrepreneurship, talk about eBay, talk about whatever. But if you guys got questions, your boys got answers. The funny thing is, when it comes to eBay Poshmark, just seeing this, congrats on the house. When it comes down to the house, we actually just got some really good news today. Actually, the appraisal came in, and it's higher than the what would be offered for the house. So that's always a really it's a good thing, because at the end of the day, it's, now we're walking into equity. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a very exciting moment. And the funny thing is that, once again, I never even imagined purchasing a home. Like, I was one of those people that didn't even think owning your own home and paying a mortgage was important. I didn't think it made financial sense. I thought it was going to be a waste of money because of the down payment. I was just talking myself out of it. Like, why would I spend so much money on a down payment when I can put this money into my business and I can flip it? But then, of course, just thinking more about generational wealth, thinking about assets and acquiring assets and really trying to, build something bigger than myself. Owning property and owning a home is definitely one of the pillars to that. So it's just the start of many big goals and many big purchases coming along the way. Let's see, what YouTube channels taught you the basics in the beginning? So for the basics, I used to watch. I watched Rally Roots. I watched Daily Refinement, and I watched. I forgot his name. I don't know if he makes videos, because honestly, guys, I don't watch that much reseller content anymore. Only content I really watch now is like podcasts. I watch interviews, and I watch fitness channels and sports related stuff. I don't really watch too much reseller content. But what was his name? And he was in good shape. That was one thing that I liked, the fact that he took fitness very, very serious. I can't, but he used to do a lot of garage sales. If anybody knows who I'm talking about, he was out in Austin, Texas. If anybody remembers who I'm talking about, drop that in the comment section. But I learned a lot from those three for sure. They definitely dropped a lot of gems. Let's see. What is the one thing you wished you knew before you started your business? Before I started my business. Oh, yep, Bonafide Hustler. There you go. That was the dude. That was my dude that put me on to a lot of information. But yes, what is one thing you wished you knew before you started your business? I wish I knew how much work it was gonna take, because I think I was caught up in the hype, right? So I told you about that 2012, 2013 era of the fake gurus and all of those things. So they would be on the beach, and they would be, talking their talk, trying to inspire people and sell courses, because that's what it was all about anyway. So I just thought, once I quit my job and I kind of start a business, at that time I was making just about like a little under 80,000 a year, because at that time I had two jobs. So I was like, it shouldn't take me too long to start making some real money. And boy, was I wrong. I was wrong. It took me 2.5 years. Once I got on YouTube was once I started really making a significant amount of money. But before then, I started by selling my own items. So of course I was kind of making money back. But then afterwards, I was kind of slowly but surely making a little bit of money, but it wasn't anything sustainable. It wasn't anything serious. So that's the one thing I wish I knew. I wish I knew how much work it was going to be, in the sense of, taking the photos, cleaning items, having the sourcing very, very consistently, because I would go and pick up a couple items, and then 2 or 3 days will pass, and then I might try to go out to the store and then pick up another 2 or 3. But I realized that the name of the game is all about inventory. So I had to keep going out there and keep trying to get better stuff and more expensive stuff. Then I had to figure out margins and how much items do I actually need to sell, and sell it for a certain amount of profit do I need to make every month in order to pay my bills. Like, I started getting real technical with it. But at first I was kind of just, if I sold one of my old ties or my old suit, I would just feel like I'm making money. But it took me a while to kind of figure out all the ins and outs. And it wasn't until I got onto YouTube was where I was a little more confident in my abilities. But in the beginning, I was just like everyone else, you know what I mean? We're just trying to figure it out, trying to gain some guidance and learn from some more experienced people. But in the beginning, I was just trying to figure it out. All I knew is that I wasn't going to work for anybody else, and I was going to do whatever I needed to do to not crawl back to a job. And not to say there's anything wrong with a job, because at one point I was very, very against working for anybody. my last like job and last work experience was very, very negative. So I was taking that with me, but trust me, nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5, doing this on the side. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Brooklyn Warrior. Just as I was going to close my account on eBay, I got my first sale. Poshmark and Macari is doing well for my fourth quarter. That's what's up. That's what's up. Fourth quarter is the time when people are just going to be shopping and just buying. And the fact that you're selling on Poshmark and Macari, you'll be good, because one thing for sure is that there's so much returns that happen during fourth quarter as well, that, a lot of people don't want to talk about, but you guys know I'll talk about it. When it comes to the returns usually, even though you see an influx of sales, you'd also see an influx of returns, because people are buying gifts, they're buying stuff for other people, they might buy something for themselves, and they might have got it in the mail, and now it was like a reflex purchase. So now impulse purchase. So now they regret it. Now they experience buyer's remorse, and now they want to return it. So thankfully, I haven't been seeing too many returns, but usually I know. Last year, I know it was a surprise. I remember getting like maybe 5 or 6 returns that month, and at that point, I was only getting maybe 1 or 2 returns a month. So getting 5 or 6, or maybe it was like 7 or 8. It definitely wasn't 10, but it was more than I was used to, and I was stressed. I was like, damn, how I'm gonna keep up with all these returns? I'm losing money. But after a while, you just kind of get used to it. You make sure that you just do better business. You make sure your item is as described, and if somebody wants to return it, chances are it's only because it doesn't fit and they really need to return it. But you try to do everything on your end to make sure the buyer is going to be happy, and you should be good to go. When sales kind of get slow, what are the first things you do to get things moving? When sales are slow, my first thing that I do, honestly, when sales are slow, I really don't do much. Like it depends how long. If it's been 2 or 3 days of slow sales, I'm probably not going to trip. But if it gets to maybe a week where I'm thinking sales are really slow, I'll start to just go through my store, drop some prices, relist items. But now one of my go-tos is to run a sale. I've been running a sale for these past 2 weeks, just 15% off, and it's been doing wonders. So that's definitely something I'm going to start incorporating more into my business model, especially during the holidays, any holiday for that matter. Like just like Macy's and Foot Locker would do when they would run like a Election Day sale or Veterans Day sale, Memorial Day. I'm going to start doing stuff like that too. And I'm probably going to focus more on the items that are like considered stale inventory, things that I've had for 6 months or more. Those are the stuff I'll put on sale just to kind of get the ball rolling. But prior to that, I never used to run sales. Like this is the first year where I ran multiple sales, and I'm experiencing like an increase in sales because of it. So I'm going to keep that going. And it's one of those things where I always just thought my prices was good. My items are going to sell regardless. But sometimes if you need more cash on hand and you drop a sale or just take it down 10%, that could encourage more people to shop with you. So definitely something that's super important. Let me go back in here. Let's see. Macari is a great app, but how do you deal with all the lowballing? I don't usually get too much lowball offers on Macari, surprisingly. I probably don't have enough listed on there. Honestly, I don't have that much, maybe like 50 items listed on there. So I don't experience too much lowball offers. The good thing is with Macari too, I think the lowest amount you can offer is like 20%. So it could be considered a lowball offer, but honestly, I don't get that much lowball offers on that platform. Derek Douglas, what's your email? I want to send y'all a gift. That's what's up. Throw the email in the chat. Definitely would appreciate that. I'll welcome all gifts. That's what's up. Thank you. That's what's up. +1 on the homestead exemption. In most states, you just have to live in the property as your primary residence. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna look into that for sure, because if I could save some money on taxes, I'm gonna do that. Your boy is paying enough in taxes. Sick of it. I have experienced my first return on eBay 4 in 2 weeks, and only 2 completed, and eBay closed the other 2. And I also received my first Vero due to a stock photo, but overall sales have been great on eBay. Wow, that's a that's a hell of a 2 weeks. The funny thing is that the Vero strike because of a stock photo is something very interesting to me, because I remember doing a live show and I shared something about eBay saying that technically they said if you use stock photos, just make sure that the item comes with everything. It's brand new and everything is included. So I think the catch to using stock photos is that the item just has to be brand new. If the item is used, you can't use stock photos. But once again, there's a lot of different opinions on stock photos or not. I started using them, but I only use them for brand new items. And I make sure that I take photos. I might not even use stock photos as my main photo sometimes. On Poshmark, I definitely would, or Mercari, I definitely would. But on eBay, sometimes I'll try to use the actual photo as the main photo. And then in the listing, I'll use a stock photo just so that people know I actually have the item in hand. And the stock photo would kind of show them the actual color, because sometimes depending on the lighting that you're using, the colors might be off. So try doing that, and hopefully you don't get any more Vero strikes, because I got one. It's been a while since I got one, maybe 2 years or more, but I know it's prevented me from listing for like 30 days. So that definitely sucked when that happened. Let's see. How many listings do you generally set out to get done every day? Usually between 10 and 15 at least. So if I'm feeling really good, I'll knock out a little more, but anywhere between 10 and 15, I try to knock out. Sometimes it might be a mixture of brand new items, especially if I'm like just went sourcing, but oftentimes it might just be me relisting items, and I might stop at say 15 to 20, just relisting items. When I say relist, I'm just saying if an item was ending that day, or it might be ending in a couple days, and I don't have necessarily a ton of watchers or a ton of views, I'll just sell similar, make any changes, take new photos, and then list it again, just so that it shows eBay that it's a brand new listing, even though it really isn't. Have you closed your store on Poshmark yet? I think it is turning around. No, that's funny you say that. So I actually started listing stuff on Poshmark again, only because, like I was telling you guys before, we're moving. So I am, like, in a perfect world, I would move without any inventory, like maybe just a very small amount. But outside of inventory and furniture, we don't have a ton of stuff. Like, we really don't have a ton of stuff at all. So in a perfect world, I would like to move to that new home with nothing. But so I've started putting more stuff on Poshmark again, just so I can hopefully get some more eyeballs on it. And surprisingly, a couple stuff sold that I would never think would sell on Poshmark. I sold a $220 jacket on Poshmark. I sold another coat for like 90, and I'll do another video on that. Like, I'll do a full video just on Poshmark and my previous sales. But I don't know if it's turning around. I mean, hopefully it is, but I know me making those sales on that platform surprised me enough to want to keep putting a little more items on there. But we'll see for sure. Do you do free shipping and or free returns, and do you think it matters? That's a good question. I do free shipping on most items. I don't do free returns only because if the buyer wants to return it, they got to pay for it. And I think that's one good way to kind of minimize returns, because with platforms like Amazon, the return process is so simple. I think even when you buy the item, it comes with a return label. So for me, it's kind of like a thing just to create another step for buyers to consider if they want to return. So if you do free shipping, free returns, I think it does give you a little boost, and it might help you get some more eyes and more attention to your item. But you might also see more returns, because all the buyer has to do is just want to return it. They get the label and they ship it back to you. So for me, I just try to create one more step so that they, might not want to, they just think twice before wanting to return the item. And you'd be surprised how many times, somebody would say they want to return the item because it doesn't fit, or they just said they changed their mind. I just got a return 2 or 3 days ago. Somebody bought a pair of pants and they just said they changed their mind, not what they expected, right? And then sometimes 2 weeks go by and then they never returned it. So then you can close that return case. So it's just about, creating making the buying process simple for the buyer. But when it comes to the returns, I don't want people just to return it just for the sake of returning it. If you're going to return it, you got to cover that cost of shipping, and you got to really want to, return that. Do you ever do eBay auctions? No, not anymore. I used to, but not anymore. eBay auctions are really good if you're not really sure about how much your item is going to sell for. But for me lately, everything I've been picking up, I kind of know exactly how much I'm going to sell it for, what the market is on it. But that's the only reason why I don't do eBay auctions. Let's see. I can understand moving into a new home fresh, but what about your inventory? Are you trying to sell it off? Yeah, so we've been moving a lot of inventory just over the past couple of weeks. But I'm not necessarily trying to sell it off. Like I said before, it would be great if I can move with less inventory. But at the same time, it's probably going to be impossible to sell everything that's in there. It's a whole second bedroom full of stuff. So, I mean, we're just going to bring what we have. But I definitely sold a significant amount of stuff over these past 2 weeks due to that sale. So we'll see. We'll keep it moving. I just started selling on eBay a couple weeks ago. I have about 20 shoes, basketball, and a few Jordans, and sold only 4 pairs of basketball shoes. Is this slow for sales? Not necessarily slow. It just depends what type of shoes you have, because if you got Jordans that everybody wants, those stuff are going to sell pretty fast. But excuse me, right now it's just, I think it's probably decent in terms of what you got. You said 2 weeks ago. So couple weeks, 4 sales, 4 out of 20. That's a decent percentage. So I don't think that's necessarily slow, but it just depends on what items you have, what the sizes are, stuff like that. But I think 4 out of 20 in 2 weeks, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's see. I don't believe you can return on Poshmark and Mercari. I have never had a return. Yeah, so people can return on Poshmark if the item isn't as described. So that's the only way they can return. But Mercari, I don't think they can. I think they can return if the item isn't as described. So say it's new, but they get it and the shoe's been worn. Well, then they can return it. But outside of that, I don't think you can return. So that is definitely a plus to those platforms. But I know Amazon and eBay, people get a lot of returns on those platforms, especially Amazon. Amazon is terrible for returns. Absolutely terrible. So we are almost at, 7:08. So I'm about to hop to the gym. So thank you guys for joining into the live show. This was definitely a really good show. I'm glad everybody was able to, participate and drop some comments, ask some solid questions. Hope I was able to give you guys some solid value. So if you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button. It definitely helps the channel out. And I'm going to see you guys in the next one. I got a video dropping tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.